All right, guys, we are back here with another episode of the Anonymous Conversation. And as you know, we keep it real, raw, and uncut. I'm here as your host, and today we have another special guest here. And special guest, say hey.
Hi, guys. Super excited to be on the podcast with Jason, who's an amazing person, a brother to me, and I'm excited to get real, raw, and uncut.
Let's do it. So, special guest, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a 28-year-old single mother of two boys and expecting another baby coming 2025. Um, I am a believer. I am an artist, an actress, an esthetician. I love God. I love writing. I love music. And I love people.
Wow, that's dope. That's super dope. So, you would definitely put yourself in the realm of a creative.
Absolutely. I
Okay.
think creatives have a special light that was put in them to use their gifts
Mm,
to heal and inspire those around them, no matter what.
I love it. I love it. I definitely feel that I'm a creative as well, whether it's with work or music, life, content, things in general. Love to create. I honestly believe that God put us here to be creators. I think that when the Bible said that He made us in His image and His likeness, I think one of the key components of that was that we were made to be creators because He is the ultimate creator. And so if we're made in His image and likeness, I believe that He made us to do as He does. But special guest, I wanted to touch on some pretty heavy topics here today. Actually, a couple questions, and the first question I wanted to ask you was: so you said you're a single mother. Explain what the process was like, as a single mother going through pregnancy without that other counterpart kind of being there.
Yes, absolutely. So, the first time I became a mother, I was 15 years old. I know, guys, that's crazy. You
Mm,
might say, wow, you were a baby having a baby. And that is the absolute God honest truth. I was. I think having a baby at a very young age not only shaped me into the person I am today, but the mother I am today. I think no one, especially no woman, ever goes into pregnancy expecting to do things alone and on their own.
mm,
But I will say it showed me a level of strength and truly showed me what unconditional love was and
mm,
is. Ultimately, it showed me what the word sacrifice means,
mm,
because at 15 years old, you're really just thinking about waking up and doing your hair to go to school and when's the next party or who's popular and who's not and what class you have going into next. And it was a life changing moment to where it showed me what selflessness means and is. I think that position of realizing that you're going to be caring for not something, but someone, a
yeah.
human being with emotions
Mm,
and their own attitude and their own character. It really is a level of responsibility that you step into. And thankfully, I was able to step into it naturally. I was very scared. I felt alone. I felt abandoned.
Mm.
I felt like a burden to everyone in my life.
Wow.
But the beauty of fighting for my child's life and, in a sense, fighting for my life, it completely changed my view on life.
Mm.
And motherhood, especially single motherhood, is probably the most hard but rewarding thing that I've ever had to encounter in my life.
Wow. What would you say is maybe two or three of the most shocking parts about being a single mother that you never expected to run into?
Um, well, one, I think it's realizing that you're not going to give your baby that wholesome family
Mm.
that you thought you would.
Mm.
I grew up in a broken home, and it tore me apart to know
Wow.
that my child would be experiencing the same feelings
Mm.
that I experienced. I wasn't prepared having a boy and being a girl. I wasn't prepared for the small yet grand differences in genders. I definitely believe that boys need their moms, yes, but so much of who they become and who they are is because of the father,
Mm.
and him not having that just made reality more real and scary
Wow.
because I felt like I would never be enough for him.
Mm. Wow. That's really heavy, and you touched on some really powerful points. The crazy thing is that even though you've been through that, it seems like you've found a way to look at it really, I would say positively, but also in a very mature way. What would you say is, you know, how would you say you have been able to, how is that you have been able to keep the positive outlook and the way that you see the situation where whereas a lot of women they don't ever get to see it that way. They kind of just see it for the pain that it causes them.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with my faith
Mm.
in God. We have a good, amazing, unconditional, gracious God. And, you know, my son is a perfect example of what it looks like to not have a father in the home, but still be so full of love and light.
Mm.
And I think because God is such a good God and He knows where we are faulty as humans or may need more help in certain departments, He always shows up. And that was one prayer that I never stopped praying is, I hope my son still feels that love and support, even though he may not have that other parent there. And God is such a good God that He is my son's father and
Mm.
has shown up for him. And by the grace of God, has saved him and
Wow.
has shown him that, my son says this thing that just blew my mind away. He said, "Mom, when I grow up, I want to be an NBA player. But my backup plan is to be a pastor."
Wow.
And
Mm.
my son's 12. So to hear that come out of his mouth was surprising, yet
Mm.
so inspiring, even as his mother,
Mm.
to hear how God's word and God's love has saved him and has made him whole.
Yeah.
And I asked him, why? Why would you want to be a pastor as your backup plan? And he said, well, because I don't have a dad and I didn't have a dad, but God's my dad.
Wow.
And God has never left my side.
Mm.
And he's always shown up for me. And when I feel like I'm alone, or I see other kids having that relationship with their dad and I don't, I always remember that God is right here with me. And he's may not be here in the flesh, but he's here in the spirit. And that touched me. Ooh, I'm getting emotional.
Yeah, it's okay. It's powerful stuff.
Because to see the most innocent and precious, child who was abandoned by his father and, was not wanted, still have the love and mental capacity to understand that even though in times he might feel alone and unwanted, like God wants him and God wanted him to be on this earth and to walk and to touch not only my life but those around us. And he said, as a pastor, I'd be able to teach other people who don't have a dad that God is our dad and he'll never leave our side.
Wow.
And he will always show up for you in good and bad times. And I think that's also something that I've learned in motherhood, especially as a single mom, is that we may not have it all together and we may feel like we are failing or we are not good enough. And sometimes it takes for our children to show us and humble us and allow us to have more just patience with ourselves and be more kind to ourselves.
Yeah.
And as much as I think I've healed him, he has healed me in so many ways. And I believe that is why God sometimes blesses us in single motherhood, because he needed to show us in person that we aren't alone.
Wow.
And we do have someone who loves us unconditionally and will teach us things, even in the smallest ways.
Beautiful. That is wow. Your vulnerability and strength and insight is extremely inspiring. If you could leave one thing to a struggling single mother who's crying, who's sad, who feels abandoned, who feels left out, who feels alone, who feels nobody's there for her, if you could leave one thing to that young lady, what would it be?
Be kind to yourself, be kind to your situation, and stay strong. Remember that everything has a purpose, everything happens for a reason. Our God makes no mistakes. Even when we make the mistakes, he will always find a way to teach us a lesson. And I always tell my boys that it is a lesson, not a loss. We are able to fall 1,000, 1,000,000 times, but we're not able to fail. And as a mother, it definitely tests your strength, because some days you want to give up and some days you want to just throw in the towel and just say enough is enough. But knowing that you have someone so precious relying on you and looking up to you, someone who thinks you're the most amazing person on this planet, it definitely allows you to keep moving forward. Do not give up. Remember, this too shall pass. It is just a season in your life, another chapter in your book, and you'll never be alone. there are a lot of single women who are mothers. There are a lot of single mothers who feel like they are alone and struggling. And I feel like when you search for the right community, you're able to find that love and, in a sense, forgiveness for yourself, and the things that you've done that I think sometimes we don't talk about a lot. So I think remaining a light, always trying to see the glass half full instead of half empty, and just never giving up. Always pray, have a conversation with God if you need to. Find a sisterhood, find women who might have gone through the same things as you, because we never know
Yeah.
whose story might touch us in a different way.
Wow. Wow. Well, I really appreciate that. I know the viewer and the listener, that young lady is going to appreciate that. And I believe that this is a ministry. It's a ministry to me. And I believe that lives and souls will be touched from your words and your wisdom and insight. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Anonymous Conversation, where we keep it real, raw, and uncut. See you guys in the next video.